Guys, welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to be continuing on with another macOS development with AppKit tutorial. And in this particular tutorial we are going to be taking a look at NSSwitch in AppKit. Now, we are familiar as of now with NS button and its checkbox with title initializer. That essentially creates a checkbox for us. Okay, so if we run our application right now, this is what we get. We get a window with a checkbox in the center of our screen to allow us to toggle whether or not we want to disable all Windows PCs on planet Earth. Now this is supposed to be kind of a tongue-in-cheek example, but this does show you the kind of purpose that an NSSwitch is perfect for. Now, you could use a checkbox and that's fine, but ever since macOS Catalina 10.15, we have NSSwitch, which is used for toggling major settings like this. So inside of Xcode, we can go to the top of our view controller, and we can say var disable all Windows PCs switch equals NSSwitch, and so we can just use the empty initializer like that, and now we have our NSSwitch. We can configure our NSSwitch if we wanted inside of view did load. All we are going to do is we are going to essentially enable programmatic constraints, and we are going to add it as a subview and then configure the actual constraints. Now, one thing you will notice is that the toggle switch does not have a label visually associated with it. If you wanted to have a label with your switch, which most of the time you are going to want, you have to create that label separately. And then it is also best to make sure that the switch has an accessibility label, so those who are using assistive technology will know what the switch is for. All right, so let's go ahead and say disable all PCs switch dot. Let's go ahead and set an accessibility label for this, and we can do this by saying accessibility label. Okay. All right, let's go into the code completion. All right. So the method version of this returns our accessibility label. That's what the original code completion was. But we don't want accessibility label value either. And so let's see, we want Okay, we want set accessibility label. So set accessibility label. And so here we can give it, for example, disable all Windows PCs on planet Earth. Like that. So now it has an accessibility label, and when we focus on the switch with VoiceOver, we should hear that label. Let's go ahead and continue configuring our label here, or rather our switch. So disable all Windows PCs switch dot translate auto resizing mask into constraints, set that equal to false. And then finally, view add subview, disable all Windows PCs switch. All right. All right. So let's go ahead and set the constraints for our switch, which it will be centered horizontally on the x-axis. So we'll say disable all Windows PCs switch dot center x anchor dot constraint is equal to view center x anchor, like that. And then next we're going to set the top anchor of our switch to be beneath the bottom anchor of our checkbox. So it's going to be disable all Windows PCs switch dot top anchor dot constraint is going to be equal to, not view, it's going to be disable all Windows PCs bottom anchor. And we want a constant of 20. All right. All right. And that should be all, because the switch, much like the stepper and buttons, they have their own width and height computed for them. All right. So let's go ahead and run this. Okay, we have a build failure. Okay, what is the button then? Okay. All right, let's make sure that this is exactly the way we'd like it to be. Make sure that we actually know where it's being shown. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. So let's try that now. Still build failure. And okay, so yeah, it is this line. Okay. Alrighty, there we go. It was a simple typo. We're good. So here we are now in our window. You can see we have our checkbox, and then we have our switch. Right now it's off. It's now on, off, on, off. Okay, so really that's how we can add a toggle switch to our macOS app. Remember, you need to add a label for your switch, like for people to visually see on your own. But there is one more thing I want to show you, and that is how we can set the explicitly set the state that it starts with, and then how you can also retrieve that state, so you know whether the switch is on or off. Because what's the point of a toggle switch if and making sure that you can use that to set some settings when you can't get the value. So inside of view did load. And above where we're setting the accessibility label, we can say disable all Windows PCs switch dot state equals dot, and then we have a few options here. We have off, mixed, and on. Now, the big thing about a switch is that the mixed state doesn't really have an effect on the toggle switch. So we'll say it's on. Now, the state property is of type NS control state. At least I'm fairly certain that's what its type is. It's set and retrieved the same way as you would a checkbox, pretty much. So we can save this. We can run it now. We can see we have a successful build. And you can see this switch is now on, just like we set it inside of view did load. Alright, so that pretty much does it for this video on NSSwitch in AppKit. Thank you all so very much for watching, and we will see you all in the next video.